Hi, I'm Dr. Jeannie Bohannon. I am the Administrative Faculty Fellow for the College of Humanities and Social Sciences this year, and today I want to talk with you and your students about writing an abstract specifically for the KSU Symposium of Student Scholars, which is coming up in April of this year. I'd like to encourage you and your students to work on projects that you can submit to the symposium, which is a great opportunity for students to have a line on their CV and to see their own projects in print in the actual symposium document. So let's talk about writing an abstract. What is an abstract? That's kind of the first place to start, right? So an abstract is basically just a summary of your research project. You often will write an abstract for conference submissions and also for research articles. You may have seen abstracts when you do library research, and the abstract is actually that small little paragraph that comes up before you actually see the article that summarizes the article for you. So very similar to reading the abstract, think about now writing the abstract. An abstract is incredibly important because it's usually the only text that a committee will see to judge your research project, to determine whether or not you get into a conference, to determine whether or not you get accepted to the journal. So it's important that your abstract is rhetorical, and by that I really just mean effective. And there are certain ways that you can write the abstract within somewhat of a template to ensure that your abstract is rhetorical and is effective. So you want to begin with an outline or a map of your work. You always want to check the website of your intended conference to check for specific submission guidelines. And we'll talk about specific submission guidelines for the KSU Symposium of Student Scholars a little bit further into this video. Here are some examples of how to write abstracts. And I want to show you these first so I can show you where the parts are. This is a little bit of a longer abstract. The KSU Symposium of Student Scholars allows you to have up to 250 words. That does not mean you have to have 250 words, but if you write like I do and you're an overwriter versus an underwriter, the more words, the better. So let's look at this proposal. Of course, here we have the title, and we have the backgrounding of the study. We have the methods for the study. We have the implications or the methodology, the why it's important of the study. And then we have the findings of the study, as well as, implications for what those findings mean. This is a rather long abstract. We can also have a look at a more succinct abstract, so much shorter, and instead of paragraphs talking about the who, what, where, when, why of your project, we have sentences. And that's okay too. So this is a perfect example of underwriting an abstract. It has the same information, the background, the methodology, the methods, the findings, and the implications. But it's a much shorter, more straightforward, plain language written abstract, and that's okay too. Both of these abstracts are absolutely appropriate as long as you have all of the pieces. So what are the pieces? Parts, parts, parts. Given the short length of your abstract, and 250 words, it does look like a lot when you see it written out, but that is very short when you're talking about a longer research paper or project. So you have to write succinctly, and you really do need to include all of these parts because this is what committees are looking for. So first of all, it's the what. What is the topic of your research? That's a pretty straightforward, easy one. The next question that you have to answer is why, and that's a little bit more intense, right? So this is the methodology section. So this is where you have to state the importance of your research. You hear your instructors often say you have to answer the why question. Why is your research important? Why are you doing your research? If you can't answer this question, you probably need to go back to the drawing board and rethink what research you're actually doing. So make sure that you hit this question really hard, very succinctly and very effectively. The first who you want to talk about is the group that's conducting the project. Some of you may be working in groups, so you may use first person pronoun we. And yes, I am an English professor. It is okay to use first person pronouns in your abstracts. If you're working on this project by yourself, use the I for first person singular and or we. And also, if you have any affiliations, if your research has been sponsored by a government agency or by a private foundation, you want to give them a nod here as well. The next section is also just as important as why, and it's the how, right? What were your methods? What was the process of your research project? Often this is chronological. You start at the beginning with what you did, and then you talk about the processes you did throughout your research. And you often, if you do research with human subjects, will talk about a second who, which is talking about the demographics of your research subjects. This second who has a little caveat with it. If you are planning to submit a project where you have worked with human subjects, this can be anything as simple as sending out a survey to something more involved like conducting interviews. If you have conducted this type of research with human subjects, first of all, don't conduct it until you get IRB approval, but you can't present the work is my point. So if you're conducting this type of research for a class and you're working with human subjects, if you want to present the research or publish the research outside of your class, you must complete an IRB proposal and run that proposal for approval through our IRB office. If you or your instructor have any questions about how to do that, I am happy to talk with you and mentor you through the process. So the last part is when, and the when is really only important if specific times impact your project. So if you have a new take on some old research, you want to definitely draw that connection in your abstract as well. So what are some more parts that are specific for you as well? As you saw in the examples, you want to give a context for the work and the reason it's important. You want to talk about the focus of the work. Give a short statement, again, keyword, short statement of the specific focus of your work. Your methodology, of course, is the approach you use to the problem or the gap in the research you're seeking to fill, right? Then you also have to identify your results. This often comes last, right before you talk about your last little line of implications. Like, this work is important because da-da-da-da-da. Here are the results. Here are the really big implications. So you want to really close the loop in the results section. You want to start with your motivation, your hook, and by the end of your abstract, you want to close that communication loop by going out on a high note and saying how important this research really is. So here are some specifics for the KSU Symposium. You will actually submit your abstract in a text box. Now I'm going to give you a bit of personal advice here. I recommend that you copy and paste your abstract from a Word document. Here's why. If you are typing your abstract directly into the text box on the website I'm about to show you for the KSU Symposium, and you lose internet access for even a microsecond, you will lose all of the information you have written in the text box. So take my advice. I've been there before and I've lost information. Copy and paste from a Word document, right? And you're only also going to submit the actual text of your abstract here, not the title or the authors. They are entered in other text boxes. So title does not go into your word count. Authors, that doesn't go into your word count. The only thing going into your word count is the abstract itself. Your abstract should be under 250 words. Those abstracts are due March 19th, 2018 by 11:59 p.m. So before we move to the second part of this video, I wanted to briefly just talk up my contact information. I really am here to help you if you want to submit to the KSU Symposium of Student Scholars. Again, it's Dr. Jeannie Bohannon. My email, jbohan12@kennesaw.edu. You may also call me. My office number is 470-578-7380. So that's our presentation. Let's move now over to how you submit to the KSU Symposium of Student Scholars. So you can go directly to research.kennesaw.edu and you can scroll down to undergraduate research. This gets you to the undergraduate research page. Similarly, what you could also do is you could go to KSU Search and type in KSU Scholars Symposium or other keywords, and it will search for you. And I did mean symposium. So there you go. It'll even search misspelled words. So here you are at the Symposium of Student Scholars, which takes place April 19th, 2018. And submission date, remember, of course, March 19th at 11:59 p.m. So this is the page where you can read all about the Symposium of Student Scholars. You can find past programs. Yes, we have a nice printed program that your work will go in, which is really cool. You can also look at past presentations and photos from previous symposiums. And most importantly, you can find the rubrics for judging. Yes, there are prizes for the top posters and presentations. So you can look at each of these rubrics. The poster is more for social sciences research, I would say, and STEM research. So it's more of an MRAD type format, right? Where you have your introduction, your lit review, your methodology, your analysis and discussion. But the oral presentations would be more for creative endeavors, textual analyses, close readings, literary analyses, but it's up to you. If you have questions about which genre to choose, hit me up at my contact information. I'm happy to talk with you about it. The key is you want to download whichever rubric you're going to present with, because you want to make sure that your abstract and your presentation are as closely aligned to these rubrics as possible, because that's how you win the prizes. And I think the prizes are gift cards and cash. Those are the best kinds of prizes, right? So the deadline, of course, again, March 19th, 11:59 p.m., not midnight, not 12:01, 11:59 p.m. You should submit a separate form for each individual project, and posters are printed for free. So if you do decide to do a poster, right, you can actually have it printed for free at CETL, so there's no cost to you for working with and participating in this symposium. So you can also click for your application, your email and password, which is usually your net ID and your password, and it will take you to the application screen where you will be able to then enter all of the information. So you will need the title, the authors, that will be you and any other student authors who are writing this presentation with you, your faculty sponsor, as well as the abstract itself. Here are some frequently asked questions if you just want to scroll through here. If you have questions that aren't answered on this website, again, please don't hesitate to contact me, Dr. Jeannie Bohannon, 470-578-7380, jbohan12 at kennesaw.edu. Thanks for listening, and I hope to hear from you soon.